Okay, so let's see if there's something about Shiro that I don't even know about. I mean, by now I'm pretty sure I would know mostly everything, main character and all. Of course, they will show him a lot and give more information on him. And then, yeah, certain things like you can't be able to project like yeah, enema and all that. Yeah, it's just simple knowledge right there. But yeah, let's see if there's other things that I didn't know about, even if it's just simple knowledge, like how I said, right? Um, but yeah, let's just go into this, the projection and tracing. Um, and then, yeah, they showed some of that, yeah, Prisma E as well, which is why, like, yeah, I keep on saying, yeah, I keep on bringing that up. I'm like, it's perfect how I looked at that. Um, Even if it isn't, like, yeah, really a part of the main story like that, still, they still bring in elements, right? Um, Either same or same thing, just different a little bit, yeah, things like that. But other than that, though, I'm gonna just start this up here. Hope you guys will enjoy it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and yeah, just get this reaction started.
In our previous lesson, I spoke of noble phantasms, the greatest assets available to heroic spirits.
Yep, their
Servants
trump
in
card,
general
right?
are on the outskirts of Magecraft, a phenomenon rarely available to the average mage. Nonetheless, our ability to summon servants is a testament to what mages are capable of. Following that logic, I wish to dedicate this lesson to a mage who, by being outside the norm, wound up innovating the craft despite his traditional inadequacies. Of course, I'm talking about Shiro Emiya, the adopted son of Kiritsugu Emiya. While the Emiyas were an established mage family, their legacy ended with Kiritsugu after he killed his own father and refused to pass on his magic crest to Shiro. Granted, there are complications in attempting this transfer, even with blood relatives. Without proper compatibility, the recipient can die, especially if the transfer isn't done in stages. That said, Kiritsugu specifically opposed teaching his son Magecraft, only doing so through Shiro's persistence. Normally, one cannot simply adopt just any child and teach them in this way. Not everyone is born with sufficient magic circuits, after all. Shiro was fortunate to have any. Thus, when Kiritsugu caved to Shiro's enthusiasm, he decided to teach the boy reinforcement Magecraft.
Yeah,
I must admit that
reinforcement.
Kiritsugu was horribly reckless in his approach, failing to teach his son how to properly open and channel magic circuits. Rather than keeping the circuits open and activating them when necessary, Shiro mistakenly believed he had to forcibly generate magic circuits for every spell. Not only was this wildly inefficient, it was also extremely dangerous and incredibly painful. This may have been Kiritsugu's way of deterring Shiro from being a mage, but in effect, it proved a greater threat than if he had taught Shiro properly. It's a shame, because Shiro had a real talent for reinforcement, a difficult magecraft used to strengthen the existence of objects by pouring mana into them. Such spells can be used to increase the purpose of an object's existence, like making a knife sharper or food more nourishing. A mage can even reinforce their own body to make themselves stronger and more durable. The most important aspect of reinforcement is understanding the internal structure of an object to determine where additional mana can be applied. Shiro used to get plenty of practice with this by repairing broken appliances at school, as well as mending junk kept in his estate's storage shed. Typically, this was just a matter of analyzing an object with mana and repairing it manually, serving as more of a diagnostic function. Actually using that mana to strengthen the object directly is much more difficult. While he's demonstrated occasional success strengthening the durability of a metal poster and a school desk for self-defense, he would often find more delicate objects, such as light bulbs, far too delicate to reinforce without shattering. It isn't until heroic spirit Emiya enters his life that Shiro learns his true calling,
Yeah.
projection magecraft. Generally speaking, projection is looked down upon by modern mages despite being a more complicated form of reinforcement.
Complicated
This is
indeed.
because projecting an
Yeah.
object consumes a considerable amount of mana, only to produce a hollow imitation that fades with time. Its other name, gradation air, describes the concept as creating something out of nothing, out of thin air as it were, that gradually vanishes. For this reason, mages often deem it unnecessary, as it's easier and longer lasting to just construct an object with physical materials. Even if a projected object is flawlessly identical to its real counterpart, its ephemeral nature defeats the merit of this method. At the very least, this is how projection works for the average mage. Shiro is an exception to the rule, able to project and fight with weapons he's seen before. Even when they are easily shattered, Shiro can project his weapons repeatedly, and with sufficient training he can make them stronger with each use. It's to the point where Rin Tosaka, upon investigating these projections, declares that Shiro is doing something altogether more advanced than mere projection. As it turns out, Shiro's specific brand of projection is something only he can make use of. We call this variant tracing, named after Shiro's iconic declaration, "Trace on," when analyzing the
trace
structure of an
on.
object. Tracing differs from ordinary projection in that it not only duplicates an object's shape and structure, but also its history. In other words, this allows for the projection of noble phantasms, which derive power from their iconic legends. I say this is something only Shiro can do because of two special conditions. First is Shiro's origin of sword, thought to have been influenced by the presence of Avalon, the divine scabbard of Excalibur used to save him from Fuyuki's great fire. The other is, of course, his status as a heroic spirit and their interaction through temporal paradox. Recall that our world is not alone. Alternate universes exist, each with their own unique timelines. In one of these diverging times, Shiro participated in the Fifth Holy Grail War in Fuyuki, surviving the conflict and living the rest of his life as a mercenary. Aspiring to be a hero of justice like his father, Shiro traveled the world, hoping to save as many people as possible. Ultimately, however, he hit the limits of what a mere human can do, and for the chance to keep helping people in a greater capacity, Shiro pledged himself to the world, agreeing to become a counter-guardian. In other words, Shiro signed up to become a heroic spirit that the counterforce could send across history to resolve various threats to humanity. It was a matter of granting power in exchange for service. With this new power came a stronger reserve of magical energy to draw upon, allowing heroic spirit Emiya to use what is essentially his noble phantasm, unlimited blade works. Bluntly, this is a conceptualized space within Shiro's mind, where he stores all his knowledge of swords and other famous weapons. It emerges as a steel manufacturing factory, dotted with thousands of different blades. It interacts with the world as a reality marble, a domain where he can call upon the Bladeworks' swords at will for hand-to-hand use, or as fired projectiles. By combining Shiro's origin and reality marble, what we have is a vast catalog of all the weapons Shiro has seen throughout his life. From just a glance, he can imitate much of their power, and even if each of his weapons is ranked lower than its original, the sheer size of his arsenal more than makes up for any one weapon being inferior. Thus, the reason why Shiro's projections are so thorough and enduring, at least compared to standard projection, is because he's not technically pulling them out of thin air, but rather vicariously through his reality marble. He is essentially projecting the weapons from Unlimited Bladeworks outside the marble's domain. It's important to note that Unlimited Bladeworks is not exclusive to Shiro in heroic spirit form. It's something born with him even as a mortal. It's just that he can't rely on it with his limited capacity as a mage. While interacting with heroic spirit Emiya, Shiro is able to quickly expand his own collection of weapons by more or less staring into his own future. Even with this knowledge, however, he requires mana to sustain the marble as a mage, and so he relies on Rin to share her mana for it to fully manifest. There are limitations to his ability, though. Namely, he cannot project divine constructs, such as Excalibur. They are too complex to understand from sight alone. The only exception is Avalon, which Shiro can project because he has an intimate knowledge of it, being inside him for much of his life. Irregularities aside, Shiro's tracing is a tremendous asset. Much like Gilgamesh's Gate of Babylon, which possesses the prototypes to all noble phantasms, Unlimited Blade Works includes many famous weapons from history that can be used to target an enemy's specific weaknesses.
I like that image right
This
there.
means Shiro can often use a servant's own noble phantasm against them, or perhaps even a noble phantasm the servant owns but cannot use due to their class restriction.
Yeah.
One of the most noteworthy uses of tracing can be found when Shiro, upon being shown visions of Zelrech's past and blueprints entrusted to the Tosaka family, can project the jeweled sword Zelrech for use in the Fifth Grail War. This means that Shiro can use his projection not just for himself, but to strengthen his allies. As an aside, I want to touch upon the Moon Cell, which complicates things a bit. Along with the
Yeah, let's
changes that
see.
come from a digital environment made from spiritrons, the rules of Shiro's tracing also change. Shiro's counterpart in the Moon Cell Grail War, a nameless servant who's abandoned his own identity, has an expanded repertoire that includes certain divine constructs. That said, his noble phantasm is still unable to replicate Ea. as
Yeah,
it
like
is,
I
by
just
definition,
said.
a weapon only Gilgamesh can wield. Lastly, it's important to mention that not only is Shiro's projection unique, his reinforcement also has a special nuance. I mentioned before that reinforcement involves strengthening an object's intended purpose, but Shiro's approach allows for greater possibilities. Technically, we call his method alteration, which not only strengthens an object's current structure, but can also be used to transform that structure. Shiro has used this on occasion to both create a bow from a tree branch and repair an otherwise mutilated soccer ball. In summation, Shiro Emiya is an unorthodox mage with fortunate attributes that allow him to perform magecraft that no one else can. His origin of sword helps him discern a weapon's shape, structure, and history from a single glance. These observations are stored in his own mental landscape, Unlimited Blade Works, which he can access with the right training and enough magical energy. These odd circumstances let him harness an otherwise inferior type of magecraft as a genuine strength. He owns up to this strength so well that it actually becomes his noble phantasm when he pledges himself as a counter-guardian. What I find fascinating is that Shiro would never have been able to use this magecraft as early as the Fifth Grail War if he hadn't met a version of himself from the future. This just goes to show how time plays a major role in our craft, and understanding how it works is crucial for the more incredible feats that we can achieve. Thus, for our next lesson, I wish to speak of all things related to time and parallel worlds, including
Time?
quantum time lock and the theoretical pruning phenomena.
Okay, well, that is going to be our next lesson, right? But yeah, really, all of that I pretty much already knew. Yeah, but just good, yeah, good refresher at least. Just in case there was just a little thing that I probably forgot. Like, oh yeah, that did happen, or yeah, he can do that. But I guess you could say, yeah, that reinforcement kind of helped him with the projection, already analyzing the object and all that. And then after that projection, you know how that works. So yeah, you could say, he already technically got the practice beforehand. And then afterwards, you'll see the result. But yeah, I feel like, we definitely would not be able to see this fight right here if not for the future Emiya. Yeah, but I mean, right here, Gilgamesh about met his match here. It's just literally the exact same weapons being thrown right back at him. So it's like, you really have to just do physical combat at that point. But yeah, that was still crazy though. I'm like, dang, yeah, Shiro, he's left to right, just literally countering the exact same weapons. So yeah, you had that, and then I understand this, right? Well, he can't exactly do too much with that, but yeah, it definitely is something. Well, yeah, definitely a good refresher for this part right here, because that was. Yeah, I think this part was actually confusing for me in Unlimited Blade Works. I think, I remember seeing something like this. Probably even at the beginning of the episode, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then later I found out, yeah, this was like the future and all. Um, but yeah, just good little refresher for that. But yeah, that's what makes him different. Like nobody can do no projection just like him. Yeah, but yeah, that should be it. Now, because I'm gonna bring up Prisma Ia again, even though nah, I probably shouldn't even touch on that. Yeah, I'm not even gonna say nothing. Um, but yeah, that's it. So if anything, you really could have just said this was like just a summary of Shiro, right? Compared to the projection and tracing. But I mean, since he is the best example, might as well just go with him. So yeah, next we're gonna learn about that time and all. Yeah, good. Yeah, let's see what he has to say about that. There's probably gonna be some concepts and things that, yeah, definitely I need some more understanding for, more explanation for. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, most of it I already knew. So yeah, nothing else much to talk about. And yeah, if you guys still want me to see Saya, yeah, I'll still yeah, do that if you guys want me to. But yeah, I was just doing this because yeah, it's just been a minute. Might as well get some Magecraft in. It's a good old Taku Daikun after a little bit of Saya for a minute. Um, and especially yeah, the memorial movie. Yeah, that was something for a little bit. Yeah, looking at that, the analysis, and then after that, looking at the characters, surrounding the memorial movie a little bit, right? But other than that, though, hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure you like, subscribe again, and yeah, I'll just see you guys in the next one.